Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of our Wartilyo YouTube channel. My name is Lance, and I'm joined by.
The one, the only, Nico Capala! Woo! I don't have
Okay,
my
yeah,
belt with me though.
yeah. What happened to your? Oh, yeah, you had it up for repairs, right?
Yeah, I celebrated too hard.
Yeah, he partied a bit too hard. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, Nico is super high on life and high on himself right now because we're here to do the Wartilyo GT 2024 champion recap. And as you know, I don't know where the slide is in relation to my head, if it's above me or below me, but it is showing a specific someone holding both the trophy for the best painted army and
Hell
also the
yeah.
belt for the best general. And that
Right.
man is Nico Cavada,
Uh-huh.
my
Yeah.
my guest slash co-host.
Yeah,
Uh,
boy.
we're never gonna hear the end of this, are we?
That's right.
So
That's right,
we,
everyone.
all right, so guys, so we're in the timeline where the villain actually wins,
Yeah.
and we and we're gonna do an interview with him to talk about his tournament experience, his journey, how he got there, and the amount of stress it took for him to carve out this W.
That's right. And you're all gonna listen to me
Oh
go
my
in
god!
very specific detail about my triumph.
So I'm already regretting this, but so this tournament was the biggest one that we've ever had in the country so far for a 2-day event. We have a 32-man general event,
Yeah.
and it was an intense 5 rounds for 2 days. And because of the nature of Swiss, only one person could emerge being 5-0 after 5 rounds. And there were a lot of really close games and really good plays. I feel like the overall proficiency of Age of Sigmar in the Philippines has gone up by quite a bit. The top 10 I think the top 10 did a pretty stellar job in general. Like,
Yeah.
everyone played well, but I can see like a marked improvement in skill with a lot of people, and I'm very happy about that.
You
But
know what? I'm also really
yeah,
happy to see not just the mark skill, not just the marked improvement with the community, but you see these other groups coming together and actually teaming up and actually studying
yeah,
like the matches, studying the lists. Remember when we showed up early morning on the first day? We had the brothers in arms
yeah,
all grouped up in one table, just studying each other's lists, studying other people's lists.
yep.
It's actually really cool. It's starting to show that we're not the only in the pond right now anymore.
No, that's true. Like, other people are stepping up their game, and we can really see that. So shout out to At the Cart Wargaming, shout out to Brothers in Arms, Dragonforge Wargaming,
Yeah.
Lumiere Realm Lords.
Yeah, and all these individual people that showed up, because a lot of the threats weren't just from groups, but they're actually just these dark horses flying around, that didn't belong to a play group, right?
Okay, yeah, we can talk about that later. I can't
Yep.
think of who you're talking about right now, but probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there were a lot of really interesting lists and people who I consider like heroes in my heart of hearts. But
Oh, shit.
we're not
Yeah.
here to talk about them today. Today we're talking about your journey. So we're gonna start off with your list. So you had a couple of choices. You had an existential crisis a few days before list submission, from my understanding. Tell me more about that.
No, I knew from day one what I was gonna play. I knew this was the list to win the tournament. I knew this was the one. No, but seriously though, no, you're right. I
Yeah, what the fuck? I'm gonna call bullshit on that almost immediately. Okay.
start sharing start leaking my chats with you in private about like, hey Lance, I don't know what to bring to the tournament anymore.
I'm gonna borrow. I need to borrow that army I sold.
No, that is true. Like way before the tournament, because I was working on Cities of Sigmar already, for Escalation League,
Yeah.
and I was thinking, hey, it's pretty cool. I might have fun bringing this, and I genuinely have fun shooting people when they don't shoot back. But it's I don't know, something about Cities of Sigmar didn't sit right with me to play in the GT. I wasn't as familiar as I was with it as I was with Nurgle or Gloomspite Gitz. And seeing how the meta adjusted, I couldn't play Nurgle anymore. The meta caught up with Nurgle. I can't play pin to win Nurgle anymore. I gotta
Yeah,
actually think.
That's true, and he can't play Nurgle anymore because he sold his army. So,
I know.
so it's really, it must be pretty tough. Okay.
I could have borrowed it though from Eagle. Like Eagle was
That-
like, oh, like, hey, you want to borrow a 3-year-old? I had Blob and 8 flies. I was like,
Did
shit.
did he
That's all I
buy all of it?
Did it not get
He
split
bought
up amongst people, or did he buy everything?
he bought the chunk that I used in tournament. So that's 8 flies and Blob.
Then he
And
has summonables, right?
yeah, he has a bunch of demons I could have borrowed. I could have just filled up with whatever. I didn't really need Blood Kings. I could use Plague Bearers or whatever.
All right. So what made you decide to play? So you decided not to play cities because you're not that proficient. You decided to not play Nurgle because you don't own the army, sort of.
yeah.
But and now you the only choice that was left was staring you in the face. If you had Gits and you're proficient with them and you've had them for a while, why did you hesitate to even consider Gits in the first place?
Well, because one, Gitz is not easy to play. It's really not easy to play. A lot of people think you just slap like 100 squigs plus like 100 plus squigs on the board and you just win the game. It's not. A lot of people in the tournament actually came pretty close to wiping me out board wide. And one, Gitz isn't easy. Number two is it hurts to play Gitz in a 5-rounder. Imagine having to micromanage all these models, cleaning up, transporting them from table to table.
Yeah. There's a lot of
But yeah,
buffs, there's a lot of buffs, activation sequences, and so
Yes.
many like small effects. And I don't think there are uniform ranges in the Gits army.
yes, exactly. So
Yeah.
something happens at the start of the hero phase, something happens during the hero phase. You have spell casting. Something happens in the movement phase, and then the moon moves, and then you got combat and battle shock. You got run and charge. All these battle shock abilities, and you have recursion. It's all these mechanics that and it's like playing Soul Blight Gravelords but destruction.
Yes.
It's the
Yeah.
it is what it is, right?
True. No, it is what it is.
So another reason why I was nervous about playing Gitz was I really had a bad streak with it. I wouldn't say bad, like so the tournaments I lost throughout the year, I would either go second or third, and I wouldn't call that bad. But it wasn't, my best streak compared to before with Nurgle.
Yeah, I think, like you said, it's a bit harder to play, and you might have felt a lot more vulnerable, right? Like, you make one big mistake, and suddenly your opponent, if they can capitalize on it, it kind of ruins your day.
Yeah, that is true. With Nurgle, I felt invincible with my ward saves, but with this, there's a thing about playing Gitz that you're dying, so you need to die at the right time, and you need to take something down with you when you die. There's some sacrificial tempo when you play Gitz.
Yeah.
That's what I call it.
That's fair. I think getting used to not having any of your units die, to having to make plays where your units do die as part of the game plan might have been such a huge mental shift.
Yep, but it all worked out. I mean, like as with the tournament, it all worked out.
That's true.
Yeah.
So let's run us down this list. What sub faction did you pick? What's your grand strat, etc.? I mean, it's to the right side of the screen, I think. But tell us more. Tell us about your thing.
Right. So I brought the King's Gitz. Well, King's Gitz is the most popular sub faction right now. I think it's the best sub faction we have right now. It used to be Jaws of Mork, especially when you go Squigs. But apparently, who knew a more reliable recursion would be better? So yeah, King's Gitz just let me re-roll my recursion, and I guess that helps you plan out better. It secures your battle tactics better with your plans for the next round. And I brought a Loon Boss and Mangler Squig as my general, and that's something that you don't see all the time, especially in the international scenes. This thing is soft. This thing can get sniped out easily, and it's expensive. It's really, really, really expensive. It's
Right.
like it's a fragile Maw Crusher, basically.
All right. So since you're basically selling it to us, why'd you pick this one? And I agree with Nico though. This is the thing that sets his list apart from other Gits.
Yeah, actually, you don't see when you check international lists. They always take because instead of taking a Mangler Squig, you could have taken Spragrot, much cheaper also for the points. Has more utility, I guess, also. But the reason why I took this Loon Boss and Mangler Squig is because it's one of the most mobile things in the game.
Yep.
This thing flies, moves 10 inches plus D6, can run and charge under the moon. and it has a command trait that I put on him, which works best on him, right? Called Fight Another Day.
Yeah.
After he fights, you gotta move 2d6 immediately away from the opponent, and that's basically a command trait made for this thing right here. So this lets you do a hit and run tactic. This mitigates, you dying easily. And then on the off chance that he does get caught out, 2d6 can only move so far, and then it's your opponent's turn. You get charged in. I gave him the artifact called the Clammy Cowl, and that means that you have -1 to hits against him permanently, and that should at least keep him alive a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he is a living force he's still a force of nature, you have to, he is expensive, he is soft, but you gotta respect if you can't reach him, you have to be careful how he can reach you also.
Yeah, I think his base is particularly small for a monster.
Yeah, it's 90 millimeters.
Oh, that's crazy. So that means if your opponent leaves a small opening in their ranks. We can talk about that later. I think we'll talk about that a lot more later. But
yeah, there are a lot of moments later that I can talk about where the Mangler Squig actually takes things out. And the Mangler Squig has a really good support ability called the Bite the Moon once per game. It may be once per game, but when you use it at the right time, my god, it really turns the tables.
Yeah, I think... I'm sorry, keep going. So let's talk more about your list. Okay, so I actually think it's a brilliant piece in your army, but I'll talk about that when you're done going through the rest of the list, because I have thoughts about how to fight this, and they're not good thoughts. So yeah, so go on with the rest of the list first. What's the next piece?
Yeah. Right, so the next piece is another key piece in my... Actually, I would argue the next piece is the most crucial one in my list compared to the Mangler Squig. So that's Grincraft and his Loon Court. So this is a Warcry... Oh, this is not a Warcry.
Underworld.
Yeah, an Underworld's unit that surprisingly is really good and really expensive also. Costs 220, but for what he does, it's insane. This is the one thing, the linchpin in my army that keeps me, that makes sure I trade up when I fight. So Grincraft basically gets, at the start of the combat phase, I get to choose one Moon Clan unit, and it can fight upon death at the start of the combat phase. And take note, this is an ability and not a command ability. So it's automatic, and there's not a lot of ways that you can deny it.
Right.
Yeah. And then he also comes with the Loon Cart, which help protect him. But that's also an extra set of bodies that you can just send out to take objectives while your entire army is handling another side of the board.
Right. Yeah.
We'll talk about that later also.
Sure. All right.
Yeah. Next up, I have the Madcap Shaman. He was the cheapest option I could take for a wizard. Well, not the cheapest. I guess the cheapest was the Web Spinner Shaman. But the Madcap Shaman specifically, I took him because, one, he has this lore spell. He has his own built-in spell that gives -1 to hits against shooting, which I was anticipating in the tournament.
Night Shroud. Yeah.
Yeah, Night Shroud. It's not amazing, but it stacks with the Gabapalooza aura, the Fungi Cloud.
No, I mean, I think it is pretty good, especially if you're trying to punish someone for using volume, right? Yeah. And you can even use it for your Mangler Squig if your opponent's gonna all attack for from 4s to 3s, which we're seeing a lot of lately. And you buff that with Clammy Cowl. A -2 to hit on shooting negates a lot of the weaknesses of the Mangler Squig, at least.
Yep, especially. Yep, yeah, that is true. And also, the base is only 25 millimeters, so he tends to blend in with my entire army, and he has Blizzard with him. So
yeah, it's kind of tricky. Yeah, it's tricky. I'm looking at the screen now. Yeah, I can't see him here. Okay.
You can't even see him in the army, can you? Yeah. So sometimes you tend to forget that he's in the crowd, among the Squig herd, and then boom, you get hit by Blizzard.
That's fair.
It's happened. Yeah, it's happened.
Okay, well, I guess we'll learn about what you got the Blizzard later on.
Yep. And then next up, I got the Squig Boss, a must-have in a Squig army. This dude has another linchpin in my army. Gives mortal wounds on 60 to hit. Surprisingly, another good ability is the +3 to movement, and that scored me a couple of my tactics. He also it gives you additional bites, which I almost never use. And he also gives you a once per game ability where one Squig herd unit can move in the hero. That's really good if you want to position or slingshot a unit Squig herd somewhere else. So for my battle line, I had 10 Boingrots, never leave home without them. There's a Scalpel in my army, same with my Mangler Squig. But they're more of a hammer actually. Whatever they smash into, they probably kill in one go. And the meat of my army is a block of 36 and 26 quick herds. That's pretty much it. And then you got the Court and Gabapalooza.
Yeah, so there is a typo because I think the app has a bug. If you reinforce a unit, it doesn't always register the points. 36 squigs is 420 points, and
Yep.
a squig herd that's reinforced once is 280 points. So
Yep. Exactly.
all right.
And I want to talk about the battalions I took also. I took Warlord for that double triumph sweetness right there. One triumph is good, two triumphs is even better, especially when you have two squig herds.
Yeah.
And since I'm at 1910 points, that's almost a guaranteed triumph right there.
That's true. I think the only person who could possibly out triumph you or beat you in the triumph bid is someone who's actually just trolling.
Yep. And another fun battalion I took, thanks to your suggestion, I took Witch Hunters of Andor. I never thought I'd use it, but when I saw all these lists with big ass wizards in the list, I was like, yeah, this is the right time to play it.
Yeah, I think the Wizards Finders of Andor is also really good because Nico, you asked me a really interesting question leading up to that week, and that is that if you activate Wizard Hunt, then the unit only finds wizards as legal targets, right? So yeah. I could even imagine a situation where you do Led into the Maelstrom and then you charge in, kill the wizard, and force the rest of the squigs not to attack a unit just to fulfill the requirement.
Exactly.
That's
actually what I was curious about, that because I wanted to see if I could. That's one way of not making my things kill anything, you know.
Yeah, Warhammer is a weird game. And then you went all 11 drops?
Something like that? 10 drops. I went 10 drops, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. And you got Protect the Shrine as your grand strat. How do you feel about Protect the Shrine?
Still not a fan of it. But it worked out in the end, right? But I guess against certain matchups, it was really difficult to pull off.
Right.
But I'd argue it's one of the better grand strats you can take. Because I guess the other one is Chase the Moon.
Yeah, that's really hard for a Mangler Squig.
Chase the Moon, he has the mobility for it, but if this thing dies, then your game plan's over, right? And the way I play is sometimes I sacrifice the Mangler Squig.
Yeah, I actually really like your army because it creates this stress for your opponent. They have to manage a flood of squigs, and then if they have any holes in their lines, the Mangler Squig comes in and swoops in.
Yep.
And the Boingrods always just punish whatever stragglers are on the side. I think it's a really good list.
Yeah.
The only counter for this I can see that I can imagine is shooting, like just straight raw shooting.
And even then, it could come down to the double turn. Because if the minute I get shot, I am a firm believer that it still takes quite a lot for shooting to get rid of this army. But if somehow this army gets a double turn on you, it could be over also.
Yeah, and I can see Lumineth Realm Lords being an interesting choice, like pinning both the squig herds based on their low bravery. That would be interesting too.
Yeah, we can talk about that later. Actually, I want to talk about it now. Lumineth Realm Lords is actually a really hard counter to this kind of army. He can permalock you with that one spell. I think that's called Darkness of the Soul, right?
Yeah, Darkness of the Soul.
So he'll permalock one thing with Darkness of the Soul, then he'll Searing Heat the other one. That won't lock it technically. That'll just lessen the movement speed, cut his movement in half. But that can hurt me, but then it still hurt me.
That's true. Yeah, I think Techless would have been an interesting thing to play against this army.
Yeah, the Mangler has always been, whenever I fight Lumineth, the Mangler has always been the Mangler and Boingrods have always been the MVPs against Lumineth, because while they perma-stun my squig herds, they usually swoop in and kill the wizards.
That's fair. No, yeah. That's good. All right, so solid list. Obviously, we know that it works. You guys have heard everything about it. Let's go on to round one, where Nico played against Emir Yel Agulto of Atticart Wargaming in the mission Towers in the Tundra.
Yeah. So this was actually a really fun fight. I was happy to fight someone that just went straight up with bloodthirsters. Emir was a really cool guy. I really enjoyed him. I think he was also a bit surprised about the raw power of squigs at first, the volume and the power of squigs. Uh, what can we talk about? So
Yeah. So Emir is the guy in the red shirt because I'm the one who did the layout for this, and I'm not an artist.
is that
So
Scarbrand he borrowed, or did he borrow that Scarbrand, or is that
no, that's
his?
really his. At the Cart Wargaming has like every Warhammer army in existence. So I
The
think,
good.
as far as I know, so he's bringing a Reapers of Vengeance list, lot of sorcery, so he needs to kill all the wizards. He
Yeah.
has 2,000 points flat, so no triumph, no problem for you. He's
Yep.
going with the 1-2 Bloodthirster Punch combo of Wrath of Khorne with Strike first, followed by
Mhm.
Insensate Rage. He's got 3 units of Bloodletters, a unit of Flesh Hounds, Hexgorger Skulls to mess with wizards, Blood Crushers, and Karanak, which is an interesting. I think it's an interesting tool for scoring battle tactics because he can move during at the end of the enemy's movement phase.
Yeah, you know what? Something I want to talk about this game was
Yeah.
it was pretty alarming how fast Karanak was.
Why?
He was in my weak flank and he was just slowly inching in with like quickly inching in with like 8 inches movement, and I knew he could. I'm not sure if it was summon bloodhounds or full bloodhounds towards him, right? Into the
So
backline.
So what he does is whenever you do summon flesh hounds, you can summon them within 3 inches, within a shorter range, or you don't have to respect the 9-inch rule for summoning. So you can sub pop a unit of flesh hounds right next to the target of Karanak.
Yeah, so it's something like an infiltrator basically, because it's a small base. You can wrap around your weak flank and then pull like bloodhounds, flesh hounds.
Right. And you were playing in Towers of the Tundra, where each player had a terrain piece with arcane. And
Yeah.
Khorne doesn't really have any wizards in this list. But
Yeah,
how
he didn't need that.
how was this matchup for you? Like, what happened?
It was actually a really good matchup. I was a bit scared of the what do you call those blood crushers?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the 6-man blood crusher unit. Pretty tanky, and they do mortal wounds in the charge. I was afraid that I get charged turn 1 and then get pinned. But they're not like the mortal versions, right? They're not that tanky.
Oh yeah, these guys have a 3-up save instead of a
Yeah.
2-up save.
It's still pretty tanky. You gotta respect it with the high bravery. It's hard
They-
to shift.
They are more resilient to shooting because they have the natural 5-up ward outside it, but you don't have shooting.
Yeah. So what I did was when I was allowed to go first, I straight up alpha striked him with my with a smaller block of squigs. Then I pinned him there. I wanted to soften up the 6-man block of skull crushers while also pinning some of the blood letters. So the minute I pinned him there, I just started scoring objectives ahead, while my stronger flank stayed behind, waiting for his bloodthirsters to approach and then charge me.
Right.
Yeah, like a spear and shield and spear tactic. Big block stays behind, small block moves ahead, pins some important stuff, kills the other stuff, and then
Right.
other charges on the stronger flank with his bloodthirsters. It worked out. It worked out really well.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, GG. I think you scored like pretty healthily in this game.
I mean, I think this was a good matchup for me. Khorne usually is a bad matchup for me when I control Khorne, but I think this army felt a lot more like a smash
Yeah.
kind of Khorne.
Yeah, this is a very direct smash chord.
Yeah, so this plays into my strength because whenever you kill me, I kill you back, right?
Yeah, I think you tend to play like brawler lists. I'm actually interested in seeing how you play cities when you get your army up and running. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like OBR, Nurgle, like Gitz, your style is very mid game, micro board,
Grindy.
grindy. There, that's the word.
Yep.
All right, so
Yeah.
Okay.
I think another highlight of this game was when his Boomthirster finally got into combat. Oh man, that thing whiffed like crazy. I kept giving it -1 to hits with Fungoid Cloud,
Yeah.
so it would be hitting on 5s.
Okay.
And there was a time when I gambled by targeting him with Mesmerize from Gabapalooza, so he can issue or receive commands, right? So he'd be
Yeah.
hitting on 5s without all-out attack because he failed
So-
that ward.
Oh, the spell word. Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's rough. I fucking hate that. That's a really good move on your part, but also miserable because I love my Insensate Rage Thirster and
Yeah, there was one time when he spiked when he rolled like 2 6s to wound, but he was out of range from everything because the squig heard conga line to a point I keep him out of range from my entire army.
Right.
So that was really annoying.
That makes sense. Yeah, well, I guess you just finessed this one.
Yeah,
Okay.
In the end, it worked out.
All right. So, all right, GG. Let's go on to round two. All right. We have Basa Mogul of Brothers in Arms.
Oh,
This fine specimen over here is one of the most conniving list makers I know.
yeah.
He is
You can see in
very.
his, you can see in his score that this dude's not a joke.
Yeah, this guy is like the master of. You give him prep time and he can make it work, even though he doesn't get a lot of practice games in. He has a very cerebral approach to preparation and a camel too. I can't remember what the camel is for. I just remember that he brings that to every tournament.
Yeah, actually, I never noticed that camel.
Yeah,
I wasn't
he brings it.
table.
Yeah, it's there. It's staring me in the face now. But yeah, I remember that he brings that to like every tournament. I should ask him about it after we're done.
Good.
All right, so yeah, this one's Koala's Claw. It's coalesced. It has -1 to damage. Spellcasting Savant with Lord Croak, Astrolith Bearer, Vengeful Defender for the early pin with the 2 units of Agrodon Lancers that he's brought to the fore. He has King Oracle on Troglodon with Heavenly Frenzy, the Oracle being useful because that becomes a spell satellite for his Croak. No Slant Stars here in this one because he's going for a more mid-game brawly list, a more hammer and anvil approach rather. He goes one side with a bunch of Lancers, I think, and then he picks another side with the Swords Warriors, and he adjusts as needed with a Suffocating Gravetide for anti-Horde, which, you're a Horde army.
Yeah.
And Dorian Acolytes for controlling magic, Battle Reg, and Magnificent so he can get the Arcane Tome and the Blade of Realities. So, how was your matchup against Koala's Claw? By the way, Koala's Claw is a sub-faction, that when they charge, you get +1 to wound if you're Saurus.
Right. So, you know what? I've played against this before, and I was actually a bit nervous when I heard I was going to go up against this list again.
Yeah.
But I gotta give a shout out to Eagle. Eagle and I practiced the hell out of limited resources, you know.
Yeah.
Battle plans like this are usually my worst battle plans, but this was the one I felt like I was in the most control.
What makes you say that?
Usually the way I play is I like to score big first, right? You know that.
Yeah.
All my army, I score big, I swing big, and then to the point that my opponent can't keep up with me anymore. That's the usual go-to style, right? I'm very excited. I play very excitingly, right?
Sure.
So for this battle plan, he actually went first, and he pinned me, and he scored very big at the first rounds of the game. So I was in the back foot at the first round. Yeah. And I felt a bit scared because this is a very tanky army, right? I didn't know if I had enough DPS to push him out of objectives once he takes everything else. Right. But I just had to stick to my battle plan, my plan, which Eagle and I came up with. We realized that in this battle plan, you're supposed to hold back. You're not supposed to score everything first.
Yeah.
Right? So the minute he scored all 4 objectives on round 1, I knew that I just had to hold out for at least one more round.
Oh, yeah. So the time was ticking. Who won Prio going into 2?
I did. I won Prio. But I chose not to score as much objectives yet. I wanted him to... So, I still took Prio. Usually, people who take Prio, they want to let the opponent go first, right? I took Prio pa rin, but I decided to just kill stuff with my Mangler Squig, but stepping out of the objective to make sure he still scores the 4 objectives in his side.
Oh, okay. That's really good. Yeah. So you just went for a lower score. You went for like tactic and 2 points. And then waited for him to burn 4, so that every time you hold 2 objectives, regardless of what combination, you will always hold more than him.
Yep, that's how I swung big against him at that time. Yeah. So at the start, he went first. He tried pinning me with his Agrodon Lancers. I removed just enough models to keep him within 3 inches of my Squig Herd.
Right.
Then when this Agrodon Lancers were pinned with my Squig Herd, I would catapult that Mangler Squig into his weaker flank, and it took out Croak. It took out Croak in one go. So that was
yeah. That must have been huge.
It is huge because majority of his army was on one side, and then it was just Croak and the Agrodon Lancers on one side, right? So seeing that there was barely anything on the other side of the board, I just basically assigned that Mangler Squig to harass the shit out of everything on the weaker flank, while my Squig Herd just held on to the Saurus Warriors, the big block of Saurus Warriors, and the Troglodon. Yeah,
Did the squig were the squigs able to outmuscle the Saurus warriors?
Yeah. So funny story was they were buffed the Kingdom Come, right? And he
Right.
took out like 10 squigs in one go, which is like really really scary, right? Like 10 to 13 squigs. But when
Okay.
I went next, I brought I brought 12 back, which is really funny.
Yeah. Oh man, you have to find some way to drain the Indomitables out of you
It was
before
it,
you go for a big push.
dude, it was hilarious. And when I brought those squigs back, those squigs that came back wrapped around some of his Saurus Warrior units, so he couldn't retreat them anymore. There was no space for his Saurus Warriors to retreat.
Oh,
And when
that's
I
so
finally,
gross.
when I clapped back, they had mortal wounds on 6s on them because they're so tanky. They have so many bonuses to saves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I hit him with mortal wounds instead, and I rolled like seven. That was the first time I rolled 75 dice.
Oh my
I think.
god. How
Yeah,
many mortals did you get from that?
I think I killed 12 Saurus Warriors in one go.
Ugh, that's
Just mortal
disgusting.
wounds.
No,
Yeah.
that is actually disgusting. So, but did his suffocating grave type play any factor in this game?
No, it did not. So here's the thing. So round one, he took first, and I kind of get the logic of why he went first was because he told me if I went forward, there was no way he was pushing me out of the objectives, right?
Sure.
But my plan was never to move forward. My plan was always to stay back because I don't want to score objectives early on.
Because
Yeah.
you don't want to. Right. Right.
Yeah, I don't want to take the center objectives yet.
Yeah.
So, I deployed my wizards outside 30 inches. Uh, I guess it was a ploy because I know Croak can unbind anywhere on the map,
Yeah.
but I guess it was just some kind of ploy to build some confidence. Like, oh, he doesn't know that Croak unbinds globally, or I don't know. It feels like, or it makes him feel safe that my wizards aren't within unbinding, right?
Right.
Yeah, but my Mangler was within unbinding range. So he took the first turn to do magical dominance. He cast it with Croak. And, he has Andorian Acolytes. So he has the primal advantage over me.
Right.
So the minute he did magical dominance, I used willpower on my Mangler Squig.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on my Mangler Squig. And what are the odds that you unbind Croak in this battle plan, right? Croak has +3, right? Am I correct? +3 to cast?
Yeah, with Astro the Bear, yes.
With Astrolith Bear. Yeah, +3 to cast, and he had the primal advantage. Dude rolled a 1 and a 4. On his first, he got Grave Tide off. I believe that was Grave Tide.
Oh no.
And yeah, so 1 and 4, he didn't want to risk that primal miscast. So it was a success, right? So that's an 8.
Yeah.
So that was the opening for me to unbind, and I unbound it with the Mangler Squig and the primal dice. And that made him fail his tactic on turn 1, and I think that rattled him a bit.
No, for sure. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you that is when Seraphon are usually feeling the safest in their magic phase, and if you hit them where at their easy tactics, it causes a lot of stress, especially early in the game. That's crazy.
Yeah, because what else tactics are you gonna do later on, right? Everything becomes trickier now.
That's true. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's really smart.
And he never got Grave Tide off because I killed Croak bottom of round 1 actually.
Bottom of 1. That was shit. That's early.
Yeah, because Croak was really far away. So I ended up charging one of his heroes, and then I 3d6 bounced into Croak, and then I moved over a wall just to make sure he couldn't get to me anymore after that.
Yeah, the Mangler Squig is messed up, man.
Yeah. That's an example of what the Mangler Squig was for. It's for taking out specific units,
Yeah, and it's cool too because like the Mangler Squig would probably be not very useful against everything else because they have scaly skin.
Mm-hmm.
But the -1 damage thing. But Croak and the Skink are the ones who you can basically like just bully with the Mangler Squig. So that's crazy. Looking at this guy's record, he basically did it well every other match. So
yeah, even when he dies, he does really well. The Mangler took out Croak. The Mangler took out his general, which denied him his Grand Strat because he got to the back lines. He scored all the back objectives in round 3 and above.
Yeah.
Just dancing around the back. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this was no, for sure. So yeah, GG, that was pretty good. Yeah, GG also to Basa because he got like second place this whole tournament. He's the runner-up. general.
Dude
And
clapped
GG the
back
brother.
pretty hard.
Yeah. Yeah, he basically went on a rampage after this game for Brothers in Arms.
Yep.
Okay, so good job. Next game. All right, so this one is a very special game. This is round 3 in a mission called No Risk, No Reward.
Yeah, boy. Against the one and the only
Carlo.
Pretender.
Oh, well, this is Carlo Zamora. He was last year's Wartilyo GT champion and was last year's World Championship of Warhammer representative for the Philippines. He came in
Right.
12th place this year with 3 solid wins and a couple of losses. He brought a different Chaos army this year, betraying his initial Zinch affiliation. He's playing Heatmaker Slanesh with Pretenders. His grand strategy is Selfish Desire. I think Selfish Desire is the one where you don't summon units.
Yep.
This Triumph is inspired. Does not none of these triumphs are relevant against you. He's got a beautifully painted army.
Dude.
Look at it on the screen. He's led by a Lord of Pain with Strength of Godhood, Shard Speaker with Merciless Blizzard, Keeper of Secrets with Crown of Dark Secrets, which would basically nerf one of the enemy units. I'd like to ask you later what he chose. 3 units of Bliss Barbs, Slick Blade Seekers, Bliss Barb Seekers, Fiends for the classic move in for early depravity and get that -1 to hit early streak with the Slick Blade Seekers, and then slowly grind your opponent out and weather them out with shooting and depravity die. So he's got a battle regiment and it's a 2-drop. So tell me, what did he pick for his Crown of Dark Secrets?
So, first of all, I'd like to say this army is gorgeous, and nothing brought me more joy than watching him lift all those models off the board, even though it took him an entire year to paint his army.
All right, so obviously because you talk this way toward him, you guys are obviously we're all friends here.
Yeah, we're all friends here. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, the trash talk in this game was so solid.
Oh man, you should have. Yeah, our trash talk at the beginning was crazy.
Yeah.
When I asked Zami what his sub-faction one, he said Pretenders. I was like, yeah, sounds about right.
Oh shit! What the fuck? Okay, that is messed up.
And then Zami whipped out his coin and slammed it on the table. It was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I think he won that argument. He didn't win the game, but he won that argument for sure.
Oh, that was funny though. That was a fun game.
So yeah,
let's talk about this game. But this was actually a pretty fun game. It was annoying also. It was really annoying.
Sure. Okay. So why was it annoying?
Yeah. So this is an example of me going up against the shooting army, right?
Yeah.
All these Bliss Barb archers hitting on. I don't know. That Lord of Pain is broken as fuck in this battle plan because the objectives here are a bit overlapped, and the minute he steps on an objective, he just gives off this perma bubble around him that gives them +1 to hit. So that's really, really good. Yeah. And all that shooting really hurt, and of course it did. So first of all, he let me go first, and I straight up he screened with his Slick Blade Seekers. I wanted to get rid of that immediately, so I kamikaze charged my my pink squigs into not my pink squigs, the rainbow squigs into his entire army at the center, basically turn 1, and it killed the Slick Blade Seekers in one go, of course, and he did stay out of 3 inches like a smart player would, so it freed up his Bliss Barb archers to shoot me. And then he picked that big block of 36 twigs for Crown of Dark Secrets, down to 1 move.
Wow.
Right. Yeah, down to one attack each, right? And then he charged in with his keeper. Yeah, you were saying?
I was surprised he didn't take first, to be honest. I'm not saying that it's a mistake. He knows the army better, but I could imagine a situation where he would use combat to gain 12 depravity dice, and then with the 12 depravity points, and with the points he would make your squigs hit on 5s instead of 4s. We simulated this. Here's the thing about me not playing with other people a lot with this army. Not a lot of people know how to adapt to it. But that one time Zami and I did play Slanesh versus Gitz. He did go first, he did alpha strike me, he lost his units, and I just recurred my squigs back. I see. Okay. With the grand strat of not summoning units, I can see why he would lose every trade.
Yeah, he would lose a trade, and
no, that's super fair. Yeah.
But here's how I see. What would happen. What would happen if he did go first? He'd shoot me, he'd whittle down some of my squigs. He'd charge in his seekers. They'd die after I fight upon death, and then it's my turn.
Okay.
He has no more seekers to screen. I'll recur squigs. I'll hero face movement my squigs up, and then I'll charge into his shooting units, and that's game.
Okay.
Yeah. So he needed to stall, or he needed a wall just to block me off, just to get in range of what's that crown?
Crown Dark Secrets.
Crown of Dark Secrets. I think that was a good play. There was a point in our game where he actually could have finished off my squigs. What's funny though is he did use Crown of Dark Secrets on my squigs, and he charged his keeper in, but the keeper was losing that fight, and he went down to like, I think he took like 9 wounds because they were still doing mortals and sixes and battle shocking into the keeper. Yeah, so he had to retreat the keeper at 1 wound from there, and yeah. There was a turn that was really scary where he started shooting my army. The only mistake he made, which he also knows he did, was he used Blizzard on my Gabapalooza on round 2. And he also split his shots between my Boingrots, my Squigherd, and my Gabapalooza.
Okay.
That was a mistake because he didn't wipe out anything, and then I was still under the bad moon in my quadrant, so I used Beckon the Lunatic Hordes to rally back my Boingrots and my Gabapalooza on a 4-up for free.
Gross.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
that's really
he forgot I had that.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think splitting shots normally to tickle your bravery would have been is intuitively smart, but yeah, Gitz have all these tricks.
Yeah.
To punish chip damage, I guess.
Yeah, so against a shooting army, usually I put the bad moon in the quadrant, my army's in, you know. So I can use Beckon the Lunatic Hordes. But you don't need that. If you're inside the aura of the bad moon Loon Shrine, you can also do Beckon the Lunatic Hordes.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so that's another trick that you can use, you know. It's anti-shooting tech right there.
Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Also,
So,
I think this is yeah, it's a 2-drop. Sorry, go on. Yeah.
Yeah, so another highlight was that Madcap was actually the MVP in this game.
How?
Yeah. So that Shard Speaker Wizard, whenever he casts the spell, gets a 4-up ward save, right? So I left it to 1 wound with a Squigherd before it ran away. Madcap Shaman took him out with an Arcane Bolt to the eye.
Oh my god.
And then he won me the game by casting Blizzard on killing 4 out of 6 fiends, if I remember correctly.
Well, that's brutal.
Yeah, that's when we called it game, actually, when it happened.
Yeah, Blizzard be swinging. Okay, this is the first time you killed something with Blizzard this tournament.
Yeah, especially
Okay.
it's especially fucky when it comes from a 70-point wizard, you know.
No, it is like the Skaven mentality. This thing is useless as fuck. So you just throw it at things.
Yeah.
Okay. So after this, day ended, and we retired.
Pretty well.
Yeah, we went back to my place where the gang slept over, and you were a 3-0, and on the other side of the board was 3 other 3-0s actually. Going to day 2, there was Alexis Sulit with Slaves to Darkness, Francis Torres, my freaking hero with Trug
He is my
Strugger.
hero also. I hope he's watching this. I hope he knows that he's our hero.
He's the alpha git. So yeah, sorry, no offense. But yeah, like so he
no,
brought
yeah,
Trug
no.
Strugger, and he went 3-0 on day 1 of a GT. This guy's insane. And then
I may be the alpha git, but he's the king.
oh shit. Okay,
The
wow.
king troll.
Aren't you like? Don't you have like a crown king or something? So him,
You
you crowning someone else king is pretty big deal. Okay.
You want to tell people what I call myself when I wear the crown?
No, that's not. That is not it. So, the last person who is 3-0 by day 2 is actually our good friend and fellow clubmate Dennis David.
Oh
So-
man.
Yep. So he is a fellow member of Wartilyo, and he's been on this before. In fact, he is the first person to ever win a Wartilyo 2-day GT event, and he brought Ossiarch Bone Reapers with Mortis Praetorian. He is spellcasting savant, the best grand strat in the game. He's slightly cut off in the image, but Arc of the Black Catacross, an Ossifector with Gothizar Cartouche, Merciless
Yep.
Blizzard, a general with diversionary tactics, which I think messes with you especially
It really
hard.
did mess with my brain a lot. Yeah, that I really
Yeah.
hated that command trait.
Yeah, I think this is the thing that's his biggest linchpin. If he makes you fail a charge and you have no re-roll for a charge with Forward to Victory because your squigs cannot receive commands, it messes with you hard.
Yeah.
Cavalos Death Riders for the easy tactic, an Archai, which stops you from getting command traits. Not very important against you because the majority of your army doesn't really care about command abilities rather. A Bone type Nexus and a neat 3-drop with Bat Reg and Andorian Acolytes. So tell me how this game went. I felt that this felt like the most intense game because I feel that if you go home with a 3-0 and you're constantly thinking about the guy on the other side,
Yeah.
you're all like it has a lot more. The stress and the anxiety has a lot more time to stew, especially if the person you're fighting is dead.
Yeah.
And Dennis
So-
is like a very prodigious player.
So first of all, I'd like to say that yes, Dennis was the guy to beat in this tournament. That's what I personally think. He's been on a win streak for a while now, and it is intimidating when you go up against somebody who is on, right?
Yeah.
So this is what it feels like to be on the other side of that, and OBR is also a really bad matchup for. It's a horrible matchup.
Okay,
Dude
so
was-
I'll listen to you first before I say.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of his stuff, a lot of the debuffs really messed with my army. A lot of -1 to hits. The way he spread out Catacross is -1 to hits, and then the bone type nexus punishment -1 to
Yeah.
hit.
Yeah.
So everything had -1 to hits effectively. I couldn't effectively finish off a unit reliably later on in the game. A lot of recursion also. If we talk about this game, I think you could see you notice at late game I was already running away from him because I couldn't reliably kill anything anymore at some
Right.
point. Yeah. So you're gonna say?
No, I was gonna say like, this game was really close. It was 20-23, I think,
Yep.
overall, and I think you even lost your grand strat.
I lost the tactic. I gave up my grand strat because I knew there was no way I was pushing Catacross out.
So you
Okay,
won on
there.
primaries.
Yes, that's why I wanted to score big. At the first few rounds already.
Right.
So something surprising that happened in this game was Dennis went first. I was expecting to go first. Dude pinned me with his Death Riders. I had to retreat my Squig herds. I had to go for a weird position tactic.
Yeah.
I do a Moonlight Raid, which I thankfully set up for properly. But it was very dangerous and technical, especially how he could countercharge right into objectives.
Right.
Yeah. So another big play here was when I did my turn one, bottom of round one. I charged my Boingrad Bounders into the Immortus Guard at the end as a sacrificial unit,
Right.
just to make sure they can't countercharge into the objective to deny me my tactic. A bonus thing that happened in this was when Archon countercharged me and my Boingrad Bounders.
Sure.
But the way he countercharged it was at the side, was at the center of my unit. Meaning, yeah. So that means every Boingrad Bounder got the fight.
Yeah.
Almost. I think 8 out of 10 got the fight. I think.
Sure.
Yeah. So you saw what happened there.
Yeah.
That was the opportunity for me to do Bite the Moon, and then yeah.
Yeah, I saw him lift Archon, and I was really surprised because it was really early in the game. And I think you spiked really hard. You rolled like 17 dice from what I heard, and you rolled 15 hits. That would, oh man, that is such a demoralizing and tilting. That is such a demoralizing and tilting roll.
Right. So
Yeah.
I think, okay, personally, I respect Dennis as a player, and and he even thought that was a mistake. I have to agree with him, that was a mistake to do, because the Boingrad Bounders had the buff for +1 to rend, if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
and they got their charge off, meaning that they're gonna get buffed with their damage, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, and they were within range for Bite the Moon.
Yeah.
So when 15 out of 17 attacks went through, if I remember correctly, they were wounding on 2, so I wasn't gonna miss a lot. And they had squig bites pa.
Yeah.
On top of that. So, funny story is, Archon count, I think I saw the play there. I think I gambled. Archon had protection of Nagash on him. So I think the plan was if he gets hurt, he'd teleport to my weak flank and then go to smash my Loon.
Right.
That was the game plan right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got it. I saw it and I said fuck it, right? If he's gonna try and teleport away, might as well try to finish him off immediately. And it paid off.
Yeah, no, that was such a huge gamble. And I felt like when we talk, when I look at this matchup, rather, like I noticed Arkan. I always feel like the Gitz army looks it looks very daunting at first, but when you consider that the Loon Shrine is the source of the recursion, and that the units are kind of overpriced, so the army is actually the army feels small for 2004.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of models, but it's actually small on wounds if you factor in saving throws and all that, and recursion.
Battle Shock also.
Yeah, so I feel that if you break the Loon Shrine, it actually tilts the match for the Gitz player very early on.
Yeah, it really does. And Archon is actually the linchpin to beating a Gitz army with all those spells. All those no grave side, right? But Archon just debuffs the shit out of something. Picks out specific units.
Yeah.
So it was a really close game to end, despite losing Archon. There was actually a moment where he lost the Archai and one unit of Immortus. In one combat phase. He lost a unit of Immortus Guard and Archai also, which was very tilting. Because he charged in with the Squigherd unit, and that Squigherd unit folded in on the 2 unit and spiked with mortal wounds and 6 hit.
Oh my god, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it dealt. I think it dealt exactly 12 wounds to the Archai and exactly enough to kill the Immortus Guard also in one go.
Yeah, I feel like the weight of dice is just so brutal in this mission. Spring the Trap especially, it's 3 missions, 3 objectives down the center, and normally I would give OBR the time of day for something like this, but the volume is just so high that forcing someone to engage like a squig herd army down the middle it's so painful to watch.
Yeah, it definitely is, and a lot of moments in this game was really scary. But my game plan was I auto ran the Loon Court to one flank immediately, right? Where his weak flank was. That's the weakest flank where all his stuff wasn't in. They scored me one objective throughout the entire game because they were ignored. They'd move all the way to the farthest side of the map.
Right.
That's set up already for Led into the Maelstrom, right? Sorry, for for Surround and Destroy.
Correct.
Yes. So I camped in the center, so no matter how brutal the fight was in the center, my Mangler Squig died round 2.
Okay.
And because he won if I remember correctly, he won Prio, yeah. And no matter him killing all my important stuff and chewing through my Squig herd, I still held on to the center point, scoring more points in terms of primaries.
Right.
Yeah, throughout the entire game. And then there was a point where I had to charge a wizard with a Squig herd unit. I failed my 3-inch charge because I rolled 2 1s. That was very daunting. And then there was a time where he swung back and failed his tactic where he charged Catacross in with a unit of Immortus Guard into my weakened Squig herd unit.
Sure.
But I wrapped around when it was my turn to fight. I wrapped around with Herder unit just to net Catacross so he couldn't pile in towards my other things. So when he finished them off, when they all battle shocked away, he was outside 3 inches of all my units, so he led into the Maelstrom actually, which is really big. Yeah.
Yeah, considering this went 20 to 23, every play you made to mitigate his scoring was huge.
It was. I think he thought I would use my Triumph to keep that Squig herd unit that blocked Catacross away. Because only the herders were left, right? So that's enough to bring back Squigs. But I decided to just throw them away so they would fail him his tactic.
Oh, man, yeah.
Yeah, and then at that point, I just split up. I ran. I bolted. You saw the ending of the game, right? I ran everything to one side. I ran my Gabapalooza to the back, and then I recurred all the way on the other side of my territory, just so I could score the most tactics and just run away from him. I just kept retreating at that point.
Yeah, at that point, without Arkan to be able to reposition, because I can see Arkan actually chasing the unit, the Loon Court on the other side of the map. This became really freaking difficult.
Yeah. He did have the mobility for that. So after Archon died, I realized there was nothing moving that fast anymore. When he lost his Archai also.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh man, must have been brutal. But this just looked like there was a really good game. It was like the
It
two
was
of
a
you
really
were
good
playing
game.
out of your goddamn mind.
Yeah, it was. We were all really quiet. What really sucked also was when he failed. His last tactic was magical dominance. It's the one he whiffed on.
Oh yeah, he rolled so bad. I remember watching that.
One failed, and then the other one was a miscast.
So it's really insane how if he had gotten magical dominance and he had gotten that led into the maelstrom which you deny, he would have won.
He would have won the game straight up. Yeah.
Fuck.
So I really had to deny led into the maelstrom because I can't just rely on him whiffing on his rolls. I had to have some security left, right?
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, that was to say this game went down to the razor wire. This is a close game.
There was actually a world where even if he smashed my Loom Shrine, I think this would have gone well if I played the way I did because I didn't use a single recurred unit. I mean, I did use at the end, but it wasn't that important. But it was extra security because if I couldn't do surround and destroy, I could have done glory grabbers.
That's true. I just think that breaking the Loon Shrine is a psychological thing where if I'm the player with a smashy army and I smash the Loon Shrine is smashed, at least I know that the trades are actual trades and not just half trades.
Yeah. But see, this is another example of an army that can deal enough damage to get rid of my squigs because I was losing that fight at the end. That's why I was retreating my block of squig herds from his Immortus Guard because I could not deal with that recursion and that damage output.
Right.
Yeah.
Man.
That was
this was such an intense game.
Good game. Yeah. Yeah, to be honest, this was one of the more intense games I've ever had in my entire, AOS career.
Fair.
And it's something I was really happy I won without having to table my opponent. I won by just mobility. Moving and managing my buffs properly here.
Okay. That's fair. No, deserved.
Yeah.
All right. And okay, so GG's bringing us the final round against Alexis Sulit, and the mission that you guys would be playing would be Geomantic Pulse, the swingiest one. It is a deployment check, and it is deceptively not about the sides, it's actually about the center
Right.
of the map. So this was a Slaves to Darkness unit that had been plowing through everyone, and he beat both Patrick and JP, both people who were also both of those guys are clubmates were also kind of poised to we thought they would be in the top 4 and stuff, but no, Alexis Sulit of Add to Cart Wargaming brought Slaves to Darkness Catalyst and really showed us how this army should be played. He's the grand strategy Overshadow, which means he's very confident in wiping his opponents out. He has a very brawler army. He's got a Chaos Lord and Karkadrak General, Mark of Nurgle, Idolator Lord, Conqueror's Crown, Demonic Speed, and Curse. Be'lakor with Binding Damnation and Spike Tongue Curse. Chaos Sorcerer Lord Nurgle with Merciless Blizzard and Spike Tongue Curse. He really wants to get Spike Tongue Curse probably for Magical Mayhem when he's trying to finish off a small hero or something. Chaos Sorcerer Lord. Yeah, with Slanesh, Chaotic Conduit, and Horfrost. A reinforced unit of Chaos Knights with Mark of Khorne. A unit of Chaos Warriors that is not reinforced, but with Mark of Nurgle. 2 units of Corvus Cabal with Mark of Nurgle, so just tanky skirmish units. Chaos Chosen with Mark of Slanesh. Icon Bearer, Skull Drummer, and the Banner of Screaming Flesh. It's a battle regiment and Andorian Acolytes, making it a very neat 3-drop army. Mm-hmm. And as far as I know, how the way Alexis seems to play is he plays very, very aggressively on turn 1. He would leverage the Chaos Chosen to run and charge with the Mark of Slanesh, and then on the left flank he would charge with the Chaos Chosen. With the Chaos Knights and the Karkadrak. And his opponent takes the second turn, he'll Be'lakor something, so that if his opponent takes the top of 2, he's going to punish it with Dark Master, continuing it to fail. On the other hand, if his opponent gives it to him, then he continues his rampage with his Chosen and his Knights. His Chosen in particular being very spicy because they can fight twice. So this is what I've observed in the first 4 games. That thing's
a blender. Sorry?
It absolutely is. Sorry. This is what I observed in the first 4 games. But how did you deal with it?
Right. So, sorry. That's exactly the game plan I want to happen to me. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
yeah, this is the dream because I'm playing a KG Gitz list where I want you to trade with me, and then everything in the back will just bounce over you to your backline. So how did I deal with this? I straight up just took it. I straight up. Well, he made some interesting plays. He charged the Chaos Knights into my Loon Court, and without tagging my Squig Herd. So that left the Squig Herd free to like run forward and position in a way I could move any way I want.
Yeah.
And my Bounders just pinned the Chaos Knights and stalemated with them for like the entire game.
No, yeah, when I saw the Bounders do a rear charge in the Knights, and when he was clapping back because he wasn't on the charge and the Lances didn't do as much damage, and I saw that you guys were stalemating each other, I felt that was huge.
It was. That pinned the entire... So, okay, let's analyze this list right here. He has 2 hammers, right? So he has 2 hammers, 1 anvil, and 2 backline units. So he has 2 hammers, the Chaos Knights, and the Chaos Chosen. The Chaos Chosen had to make a gamble for a run and charge. So even if you max run them, a charge would be very difficult. That'd be like a 10-inch charge. Even with the buffs, that would be about a 9-inch, maybe an 8-inch charge. And
yeah, it was a 9-inch charge from what I remember because he was 11 inches away and he had Mark of Slash and the drummer.
Yeah, so a 9-inch charge without a reroll is such a risky gamble.
No, it is because for people back at home, if you're playing a Mark of Slanesh Chaos unit, if you are a Slanesh hero can issue a command to that unit at the start of the charge phase, and when that happens, you get to run and charge. But that but because it is received during the charge phase, it also means you can't do forward to victory to read. That's huge.
Right. So this is actually a list I kind of studied, I kind of looked into, and when I saw that he'd go for a long bomb charge, I kind of felt a bit safe because even if he did make that charge, he'd be caught out in the open. He charges me, I fight on death, and he'd be caught out in the open. If he doesn't charge, he's sitting in the center next to Be'lakor, 2 targets that I want to go for, right?
Yeah.
So when he filled that charge, I decided on my turn, I just kamikaze charged my pink Squig Herds, the smaller one, the block of 24.
Yeah.
And I buffed them with mortal wounds and 6s to hit. So I knew that thing was gonna die when I charged in. So I charged in, I charged it with my Bounders into the Knights. I fought with the Bounders first because I knew they could do more damage.
Right.
And then he decided to fight with the Chosen against the pink Squig Herds before they fight. And he wiped them out. But when he wiped them out, that engaged the entire block into piling in 3 inches. And killing 8 out of 10 of his Chaos Chosen in one go.
So one interesting thing about Fight Upon Death is that if there are still units remaining on the unit, you cannot pile in such a way that breaks coherency because it still breaks the rules. But when you kill the entire unit basically gets to fight because there's no coherency to break anymore.
Yeah, and the way I charged in, the way I was positioned was everything was within 3 inches of the Chaos Chosen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the play right there. How do I deal the most damage? I just get them killed. There you go. That's the suicide charge right there.
Yeah, I thought that at the end of turn 1, when you had pinned the Knights and you had reduced the Chosen to 2 units, you'd effectively blunted. Well, not blunted. That's a stupid thing to do to a hammer. You effectively broke 2 of his hammers.
Yeah, exactly. And the kicker was after I suicide charged the Squig Herd, I recurred half of that back and formed another wall.
Oh man, that's so it's always so disgusting seeing you do that.
Yeah, and I won Prio after that also.
Yeah, and I was actually wondering if you would give the turn to him or take the Prio. Give the turn to him so that Be'lakor's Dark Master effect will go away on your Mangler, or if you take it and you just capitalize on the onslaught, and you decided to, in the most Nico fashion, you took it. One more thing I want to mention before we move on to turn 2, round 2 onwards. Yeah. In this picture, you can very clearly see Be'lakor on an altar and 2 Sorcerer Lords. 1 Sorcerer Lord had fallen down. And I think this is weirdly telling, despite this being an accidental Armies on Parade shot, because on round 1, I was watching the whole game, and that red Sorcerer Lord basically popped his own head open with a miscast.
trying to cast Mystic Shield, mind you.
This thing is like foreshadowing what happened in round 5. It's kind of freaky.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we forgot to mention that. So that was
Huge.
I couldn't stop smiling when that happened. I was like, yeah, that's right.
No,
One
yeah.
less,
So
one less
yeah.
wizard on the board.
And not just that, but for Kabbalists to work, you need to have 2 Slaves of Darkness wizards next to each other who can be Kabbalists, and then they'll be able to use drawn power together. And one of them dying was huge.
He also lost Andorian focus with that, effectively.
Acolytes.
Andorian Acolytes, right, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's freaking crazy.
That was hilarious. And going into round... When I took my turn, I don't want to sound cocky, but I knew the Mangler Squig was going to get Dark Mastered. I knew a lot of people don't see that Mangler... A lot of people will take one look at that Mangler Squig, and they know it's scary, right? They know it's a threat. But that thing isn't the biggest threat in my army. It's
you have
not
like
the
4 hammers.
Yeah, well, but I would argue that the big block of... So, here's what I think what could have happened, right? If you Dark Master my Squig Herds, I risk charging them in, and I can even fight upon death if you roll 3 up in the combat phase. You straight up just kill me. Yeah. That's one way to neuter the big block. Yeah. I mean, I think that would have been the more effective play, because the Mangler isn't that powerful against things with high saves. Because he only has Rend 1 bite attacks and Rend 2, the
balls, yeah.
Yeah,
wrecking balls. He doesn't kill things with his balls. Okay, yeah.
So I'd argue that thing isn't as scary in a Slaves of Darkness army, especially if you're ethereal with Be'lakor.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah.
So moving on to round 2, I decided to take it, and something I called out was that even though my Mangler Squig was Dark Mastered, Bite the Moon still works.
Yeah. Oh, it's so gross. Everything kind of worked out. You were basically fighting for the center already for Geomantic Pulse. You let him take the pulse for 1 turn, which I thought was smart. It was held by 10 Chaos Warriors, and I think it would have just taken a lot more effort to shift a unit of 10 Nurgle Chaos Warriors with ward saves. Yeah,
because if you look at the map also, there was this big ass Zinch portal blocking the way like a wall from that pulse, right? So those 10 warriors were effectively useless after the pulse move because they're really slow.
Yeah.
They respond when it moves, right?
Yeah.
So I think another highlight of this game was when the big block of Squigs descended into his general, his other wizard, and Be'lakor, and got to use Wizard Hunters with mortal wounds and 6 if they hit.
Oh man, so that was like what, 4 attacks per Squig?
4 attacks per Squig. I think Be'lakor took 32 attacks. The general took, I think, 60 attacks. And then they all died.
Yeah, Be'lakor died to the wound of like you running away.
Yeah, that was funny because I was rolling really bad there.
Yeah, you were spiking low actually.
Yeah, but he still died to Battle Shock, which was hilarious. Because he was down to 1 wound and only 2 Squigs ran.
Right.
Yeah, but I knew that when I killed his general and I killed his chosen, I think that was game already at that point. There was no other way to score or wipe me from the board.
Yeah, no, it would have been very difficult. I think there was still a fight between the Knights and your Boingrots, and I think the point of tension there would be that since Geomantic Pulse is so swingy, and if the right priors went a certain way, the Knights could have possibly scored the points alongside the Corvus Cabal and denied you the final turn, but that didn't quite happen. I think the Boingrot Bounders wiped them, right?
Well, here's the thing, because he was fighting at a stalemate with the Boingrots for 2 rounds, right? All I have to do is all-out defense, and he's hitting on 4s. He can't do much with his general dead. So, what he did was he retreated the Boingrot Bounders, charged the Corvus Cabal for led into the Maelstrom, but the Corvus Cabal died to the wound and failed, led into the Maelstrom. And then we rolled a Prio. He rolled a 6 to Prio, and then I rolled another 6. And then that was game. Because after retreating, you need for the charge.
Yeah, and with that game done, congratulations. You are our World Championship of Warhammer representative for 2024 in Atlanta this November 20 to 24, I think. Yeah, but there's an article that you truly are the age of Sigmar. Well, like, yeah, there is already a date announced based on the Warcom article. So if you're watching us this show and you are from outside the Philippines, then you are looking at someone you may potentially be facing if you yourself are also going to the World Championships.
Yeah, don't worry, guys. I'm here to have fun.
The biggest lie in the world.
I'm just there to have a good time, guys. People of Atlanta, show me a good time.
Kick his ass, please. Kick his ass. Yeah. So Nico is out there to have some fun, and we also had an amazing time. Thank you to Gamer Shop, particularly to Don Carina for like hosting us and having a venue big enough for 32. This was the biggest tournament we've had so far. I was so sick that weekend.
I was really sick too. I lost my voice, dude. Straight up lost my voice.
You were sick? I didn't know you were sick.
The next day I was feeling a bit sick because I was sleeping next to Christoph, and I guess he has an aura of what is this? Aura of sickness right there.
Yeah. So yeah, just one big group, happy group. Not everyone who went could have stayed, which is unfortunate, but a lot of the guys showed up here. This is a big growing Age of Sigmar community here in the Philippines, and I'm just very grateful for the event last weekend. I'm grateful that all the hard work paid off and everyone seemed to have had fun.
I think everyone's still recovering from this tournament also, because I'm still recovering physically from this also.
Yeah, I had to take a sick leave on Monday because I was so exhausted and I was so sick. But dude, I don't know how other countries do it, man. How they have like 4 to 5 GTs a year, and then this one guy would like join every GT. I can't imagine doing it.
Yeah, no, but I get that because I went to work the next day and I had a client meeting in the morning. My voice was gone. I had to explain why my voice was gone, and
Your boss?
not just my boss, but even the clients. I had to explain why my voice was. And this was like the second day. I think I drank like three coffees in one match. That final match, I just pumped myself up with adrenaline, so I crashed after that.
Wild.
Yeah,
that's some wild stuff. But yeah, so congratulations, man. I feel like you've definitely earned the right to represent the country, and you worked really hard, and I think it paid off.
Yeah, I did. Another brag. I did work really hard. You know that. I did practice. I got my ass kicked, and yeah, it is what it is, guys. Sorry, sometimes the villain wins. Not everything's a fairy tale.
Holy shit. Yeah, okay, guys. So for people who don't know, Nico is like the wrestling heel of the community.
I'm the heel of the community right here.
We all had a bunch of like brotherly boos when he won the belt.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone line up so I can lick the tears off their face.
Yeah, we're not letting you do that, especially since you got sick the day after. We're not letting you do that. But yeah, so that was a tournament recap of Wartilyo GT 2020, and I am joined today by Nico, who is our representative for the World Championships of Warhammer. If you are interested in this kind of content, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We are very close to hitting 500 subscribers and being able to have options for monetization for the channel. We're like 5 subscribers away, I think.
Yeah, and help us go follow our Twitter, right? I think Patrick should. That's right, Patrick. Add that Twitter account right there.
Yeah, so the description should have our Facebook page, our Twitter, and our Discord link.
Yep.
And with that, we're going to close the show now. Yep, we're out. See ya.